Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the seminar hosted by Goldilocks and the Bear Foundation. I'm the co-founder of Goldilocks and the Bear Foundation. I just want to quickly tell you about Goldilocks and the Bear Foundation for those of you that don't know about us. We're an NGO that was started 3 years ago, and our basic we go to underprivileged schools and we screen children for ADHD and other mental health problems like depression, anxiety. We've helped a lot of children over the last 3 years, and unfortunately, COVID has stopped a lot of our operations, like everybody else's. But we're still here, and we do a lot of educational talks, and on that basis I would like to introduce you to one of our valuable volunteers, Deidre de Villiers, who's hosting this seminar today. Thank you very much, Deidre. Deidre is a positive psychology practitioner and a psychometrist, and she works closely with us doing some of the assessments of our children that we send for further assessments. We appreciate your time, Deidre, and I'm going to hand over now to you. Just some house rules. Please keep your microphones off, and we will be answering some questions at the end of the talk. Over to you, Deidre. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. Tony, I just need to share the screen. I can't hear you, Tony.
All right, can you hear me now, Deidre?
I can hear you.
Okay, you should be able to share now. Are you able to?
Looks like it. Thank you.
All right.
Let's have a look. You've disabled it again. Sorry, Tony. It's disabled.
Okay, try again now. Great.
I just want to put it on slideshow. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so nice of Goldilocks and the Bear Foundation to invite me to talk to you. I'm really, I'm honored, and I'm very much aware of, oopsie, it's still not showing it. I'm very much aware of how we're struggling during this period of time, and I believe that our heart is really to share with our parents and with adults alike as to what we can do or cannot do in terms of the challenges that we face. And I hope that sharing these ideas with you will actually enable you just to cope a little bit better. And when I say that with much respect as a mom of 4 children myself. It's very, very difficult, and I know for a fact that as parents, we're so tough on ourselves. So as I start off, I want to say every parent here is doing a great job. If you're the adult, and unfortunately the truth is research shows us that adults with children suffering or having ADHD are generally speaking also on the spectrum. So I can only assume that some of the parents here are also struggling like I do. And I always say that if my child doesn't take his medication, then I take it, because then it helps me to stay calm. So have you got the slideshow, Tony? Is it up? Sorry, you're muted.
If you just click maybe from beginning the slideshow, I can see your screen, but I can't see the actual slideshow in full screen.
Have you got that?
It's just busy loading. There we go.
There we are. Okay, so my picture here I think says it all. It says parenting demands creative solutions to everyday problems. And I'd almost like to say, if there's a parent on this group that's never felt like doing that to their son especially, then I would be quite surprised, because I tend to want to do this on a regular basis with him, just hang him up and leave him to dry a little bit. So ADHD and parenting together actually causes quite a few challenges in adults, in everyday life at least. In terms of ADHD, I just want to do a quick recap. ADHD behaviors can disrupt family life. Children do not necessarily hear the instructions, and therefore they seem to fail to obey these instructions. But what really happens is they don't really hear it. They tend to be disorganized and easily distracted. They may keep other family members waiting, or they start with projects and forget to finish them. They very seldom clean up afterwards. They may be impulsive, interrupt, demand attention, speak before they think, be tactless, or even embarrass us as parents. And they tend to find it very difficult to go to sleep. And sometimes they even put themselves in physical danger because they do not have that self-regulation skill. They tend to act before they think. So to them, it's act, then think, and then they perhaps have the opportunity to act again. But certainly they're not the kind of children that will think about what they're about to do. It's generally speaking just an acting out. So I've got a caution sign here. It says frustration ahead. Parents, it is truthfully, honestly, life is with children is kind of like this. Caution sign. There's frustration ahead. It can be very frustrating to have a little one with ADHD or any other neurological challenge. And if you're the parent or an adult with the same challenges, it tends to kind of make us feel inadequate. So this slide says it is exasperating. Really, it is. And lockdown makes it so much worse. And I want you to remember that during this period of COVID-19 and lockdown, everything seems to be so much worse. And whilst you're in the flow of things and the child screaming or not listening or we're not getting schoolwork done, we're sitting there and we really feel that, we're not coping. It's just, nothing is working. I want you to remember, please remember, it is amplified. It is literally so much worse than what it should be. I want you to also remember that children experience stress and uncertainty. In fact, one of the articles I read over the weekend, doing some research again, is Resilience by Maston in 2014, where she wrote how the children actually found, for instance, 9/11 so traumatic. And we're going to see exactly the same thing with our children through the COVID pandemic. I also want you to remember that their routine has changed. It's possibly less structured. They don't have to put school clothes on. They don't have set times for, well, hopefully they do, but generally they don't have set times for certain things. They have also less physical activities. And what I'm referring to there is that large playground, the group of friends, they're bantering, they're being busy outside on a school playground. They don't have that. So they're kind of contained in a smaller space, and they're having to find their way out as well with mommy and daddy, who, more importantly, as primary givers, are also experiencing stress and uncertainty. And those come from being obviously financial, employment related, or health related. The truth is also that all of a sudden parenting has become 24/7, 7 days a week. There's very limited extended family or support structures in place with us being in lockdown. And yeah, maybe some of us tend to break the rules ever so slightly, but the truth is parenting has changed. And all of a sudden, it's not just a limited period of time. We're stuck in it with very little idea of when we're going to move into a next level or when the children are going to return to school, which in itself also causes stress to the parent. And the other thing that's very important is we must remember that as parents at this point in time, there is limited, if any, privacy as parenting reverts back to that 24/7 hands-on full-time care and physical responsibility. So there's no time out, there's no time for parents just to, kind of take a breather, driving to the shop thinking, I don't have to worry about my child for another 2 hours. The truth is, this is now full-time hands-on parenting with a lot of additional responsibilities, long-term with very little idea of where we're going to go from here. So I've put the cycle in place. What we find as parents experience emotionally, we kind of start off with a lot of very good intentions and positive emotions. So we've got the hope that we're going to do this right and we're going to address the school issues that needs to be addressed, or we've got a schedule, we're going to address this one bit at a time. Inevitably what happens, and especially with children with challenges or barriers, the parent becomes frustrated. From frustration, the parent obviously, if that is not dealt with, becomes quite angry, and sometimes angry at themselves, angry at the situation, or angry at the child. And when there's a blow up, what happens? There's the guilt factor. And so we feel, oh, I should have been a better parent. I should have thought more about this, or I should have been more structured, or should have planned better, or I should have kept quiet. And this cycle in itself becomes very unproductive, because without realizing it, we're in a situation where we just keep going around and around and around, and we're never managing to grasp what we need to do to move on. So, and this is a very normal cycle. I want parents to understand that going through frustration and anger and guilt, and then getting up the next morning believing that perhaps today we're going to make a difference, it's all very, very normal. And I want you to kind of give yourself a pat on the back. It's been how many weeks? 5, 6 weeks, and we've done it. So number one, give yourself a pat on the back. You've done it. So well done to all the parents. I want to also say that both parents and children experience emotions as if it's on a roller coaster. And it's the up and the down, the ascending, descending. The children are influenced by the caregivers, and the caregivers or the parents are influenced by their children. So we're kind of always in a very reactive situation. We react rather than respond to the situation. And I always ask parents, and something that changed my life, who is the parent? And it doesn't matter whether you're an adult with ADHD or whether the child in the home has, or you have 2 or 3 or 4 of those. I want to ask, who is the adult? And in saying that, I want to say that as an adult, we have the skills, or we have the ability to know better. Okay. And if we start breathing that in and say, I'm in control, I am in control, I can lead the way, immediately the pressure that we put ourselves under as parents tend to dissipate. And that's what we want. We want parents that embrace parenting opposed to react. And then we're back into that cycle of negative emotions, guilt, and frustration. So when we go through ADHD parenting tip number 1, it is very, very important to maintain a very positive attitude. This and common sense is your best asset in parenting. It really, really is. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself. You've got to be able to laugh at the children. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes nothing is funny. And I understand that. But I want you to remember that every minute of the day gives us a new opportunity. And if today the best we could do was just to cope, then tomorrow we try again. Okay? And saying that, I also want to say, keep things in perspective. Remember, your child's behavior is related to a barrier or a challenge. Most of the time, their behavior is not intentionally difficult. Hold on to your sense of humor. Do not sweat the small stuff. Be willing to make some compromises. If they would do X, Y, Z, leave something undone, or slip something in, or change your time. It's not about changing. You've got to be consistent. But I want parents to understand you've got to pick your fights, really. Don't sweat the small stuff. All right? And believe in your child. That little human being is a human being regardless of their size. So I want you to think about or make a written list of everything that is positive, valuable, and unique about your child. And sometimes when I work with parents, I ask them, what dreams did you have for your child the moment you held them in your arms the first time? And if you start thinking about the dreams you had for your child, you still have that very, very, very special child with you. And regardless of their behavior, and trust me, we were children once as well. So regardless of the child's behavior, they're still valuable, and they're still unique, and they're still a person. I want you to trust your child that they can learn, they can change, they can mature, and they can succeed. Success is different for different successes. Considered differently by different people, but they can succeed. And I want you to reaffirm this trust on a daily basis. Reaffirm it to yourself, reaffirm it to your child. Keep saying to yourself, they can do this, I can do this. Just take a breather. If nothing else, pause. It's one of the most powerful things we can do as parents. Instead of reacting straight away, just pause. Literally, like you would the DSTV. Pause it. Just stop for a moment, take a breather, and don't react. It's one of the best things we can do. Just don't react. Just pause for a moment so you can pull yourself towards yourself, I always say. It's also very important that you are your child's role model and the most important source of strength. You have to take care of yourself so that you do not become overtired or you just simply run out of patience. And that's quite normal. We all know that. Nobody's perfect. But I want for you to become more aware of yourself so that you can bring in the pause moment before the reaction. Does that make sense? Anybody can just shake their heads for me? Make sense? Okay. Seek support. It's very important to be able to talk to somebody else about how you feel and how the frustration that builds up. Be it in an organized group or forum to give and receive advice, or any safe place where you can vent your feelings and share your experiences. It's so valuable. Take breaks. Accept help and ask for help. Use the time to take care of you. A lot of times, especially as moms, we are kind of just wired to take care of our children, our families, and the cleaning and the cooking and everything else. And look at that little doctor picture. It says, what fits your busy schedule better? Exercising 1 hour a day or being dead 24 hours a day? It's an extreme. But what we're trying to say is, your family needs you. And that means that you need to take care of yourself first and foremost. Eat right, exercise, find healthy ways to reduce stress, painting, gardening. It doesn't matter what you decide to do, but find time away from the daily routine of schoolwork, taking care of your child, cleaning, cooking. Okay. The second most important parenting tip is establish structure and stick to it. Any child, and specifically children with barriers, are more likely to succeed in completing tasks when these occur in predictable patterns and in predictable places. Your job as parent is to create and sustain structure in your home in order for your child to know what to expect and what is expected to be done. Okay, so if I say that, the most amazing thing is that when you start off and you have a clock, and for instance, we would use clocks and we would mark the time, and there's a little, toothbrush at a certain time and breakfast cereal at another time and playtime, like this clock on here, the child knows what to expect. And there's no argument, there's no running around. And as a parent, I can honestly say that once children fall into this routine where they understand it's this time, they have to do this, it becomes easy on us. I also want to tell you that if you cannot sustain routine, then don't start it because you tend to be frustrated. But this is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. Have a plan and stick to it. Okay. I'll talk about parenting through those difficult moments in a moment. So it's very important. Establish structure and stick to it. Decide. It takes you 5 minutes right now. After this webinar, you could sit down for 5 minutes and say, you know what, I know my child gets up at this time, so let's see. What is the normal routine? Try and keep it as close as possible to what it could be and make it work long term. So it's brushing teeth, getting dressed, whatever else it may be. Even through lockdown, it is so important. Stick to normal bedtimes. Or if you give a little bit of grace, it must be a little bit of grace. Not so much so that you're going to struggle at any point in time. So look at it, decide up front what you want so that your child knows what is expected of them and you know what the routine is and what you can expect from your child. Follow the routine. Set a time and place for everything. This allows the child with ADHD to understand and meet expectations. When you look at rituals, they're simple and predictable, like meal times, homework, play, and bed, making sure whatever is needed is in a special place to grab and go in the morning. If a child knows it's almost like they just click over. They understand it's supper time. Somebody sets the table. They know they have to go and wash their hands. It's a matter of just setting a routine, getting some kind of predictability in the child, and keep it simple. Just as simple as you possibly can. Remember, a child's job is to play. We don't want them to play the whole day, especially when we're in lockdown. But don't sweat the small stuff. Make it easy on yourself. Make it easy for the child, and then just stick to it. If you have 5 rules or 3 rules, and I'll talk about the 3 rules, that's ample. I want you to also think of using clocks and timers. It helps when the child can see the passing of time. It also helps them to see when they have to be ready. So generally speaking, what I would recommend is we say to the child, you've got 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on the child's temperament, and then you need to do your homework, or then we're going to eat, or then you have to pack up, or then it's bath time. Using that timer for transitional times, such as the in-between finishing of homework and doing, getting ready for bed, makes a huge difference to the child, because they don't feel that we're just taking away their fun. They understand that they have to move on. So timers are a great way of getting the children to understand the time, because remember, a child with ADHD has no concept of time either. I want you to think about simplifying your child's schedule. And I understand that it's good to avoid idle time, and the child may become more distracted and wound up if there are many after-school activities. And the problem is that we keep them on this high, and it's almost like a competitive high. There's not a, I need to do it. It's a keep busy high, because, otherwise this child's going to be bored and do things that he shouldn't be doing. But I want you to consider the child's abilities and the demands of any particular activity, and look at what you can do, allowing the child enough downtime just to be. Create a quiet space. Every child needs a quiet, private space of their own. It can be a bedroom or the patio, as long as it's not the same place as where timeout occurs. Okay, it's just a calm down space. It can be with music, not necessarily technology, but try and find a space where the child can just be. Sometimes children just want to be in the garden, and sometimes they want to sit in a tree. It doesn't matter where they are, but find the space where timeout can occur. I want you to also remember to do your best to be neat and organized, because the child learns from you. Make sure that your child knows that everything has its place, and lead by example with neatness and organization as much as possible. So if your office space or your workspace looks like the picture on the left, inevitably the child would not really be motivated to put their things away, because they don't see mommy or daddy doing it. So it really calls, and it speaks to parenting from a different mindset. It speaks to parenting about in terms of modeling, opposed to telling the child what to do. You can say whatever you want to a child. They're actually going to follow your example before they listen to what you're saying. ADHD parenting tip number 3. The benefits of physical activity are endless, and more so for children with ADHD. It improves concentration, decreases depression and anxiety, and promotes brain growth, especially in this time. It doesn't matter whether they're just going up and down the steps 10 times. Just try and get them to move. Otherwise, there's that downward spiral of, we're stuck at home, we can't do anything, I can't see my friends, and this whining is never ending. Remember that exercise does lead to better sleep. And when we're out of lockdown, try and get them into a sport that they would fall in love with. They have to fall in love with the sport. They've got to really, really be passionate about it. How to help a child get better rest? Important that we decrease television or technology time and increase physical activities and exercise levels during the day. Think of creating a buffer time to lower down the activity level for an hour or so before bedtime. In other words, it doesn't help us leaving the child in front of the TV with technology and then switching the light off. One of my friends always says, she says it's that blue light. Somehow it interferes with sleep. And she uses the word sleep hygiene. It's very, very important that we have a good sleep hygiene pattern. If need be, spend 10 minutes or so cuddling with your child to build a sense of love and security, as well as calming time. Now, that depends on your child's age, and I guess to some extent, older girls would still enjoy it, but boys, as soon as they get to their teenage years, they become a little bit more difficult to hold. Use aromatherapy oils, or something that will make them feel a little bit calmer. So lavender, other aromas in your child's room. And especially make sure that your child can handle it. Some kids don't like any strong sense around them, whereas other children may enjoy it. So consider what your child likes and use music if you have to. All right? But relaxing music. Obviously, we're not going to pop music. Number 4, set clear expectations and rules. Children with ADHD need consistent and clear rules that they understand and follow. Write them down and make it visual and readable. What I want to share here is something very light-hearted perhaps, but I always say to parents that imagine a child's life. We're going through, as the child goes along, we keep saying, don't do that, and don't do this, and oh, we don't do this. And so what we're doing is we don't explain the rules of the game to them up front. It's like playing Monopoly or playing any game. And as we go along, the person playing with us that's a little bit more perhaps knowledgeable keeps interrupting us and keeps telling us that we're doing something wrong and we've got to do it better or we've got to do it differently. And the sense of frustration that comes with that is very real for a child. So children respond well if they know upfront what the rules are. And it's simple. Rules, consequences. It's also very important to explain to the child why the rules are in place and what will happen if they are broken or if they obey them consistently. Stick to your system. Whatever you decide to do, stick to your system and follow through each and every time with a reward or a consequence. Children with ADHD respond particularly well to rewards and consequences. And the reason for that is, I think it's the next one. I just want to quickly, I'll just go through this quickly. First, that I have 3 rules in my house, and I always try and explain to parents the less we have, the better. But these 3 rules encompasses, I think, about everything. It talks about the 3 inclusive rules are: we take care of ourselves, we take care of others, and we take care of our things. It's very, very simple. Those are 3 rules that is easy to remember. It's not laborious. It's not this long thing that the child has to remember. It's just take care of yourself, take care of your things, and take care of others. So when they bite the sibling or they throw their bike down because they're having a frothy, are they following the rules? No, there's got to be consequences then. So keeping it to something very simple like take care of self, others, and our things make it so much easier for parents to deal with that and for the child to understand the rules of the game. It's very important to catch children doing something well and praise it. Specific praise. So not, oh, you're a good boy, but, oh, I see you trying and you've put your bike away, or well done for making your bed without mommy asking you. I can see that you're thinking about that, or I can see that you're diligent. Use words that talks about or talks to the characteristic or the character in the child. The trying, not the good boy, or I see, you're being kind. Be specific. I can see that you're kind to your sister because you did X, Y, Z. Very important for us to praise it and to reward your child for small achievements that may be taken for granted to another child. Research shows that it is estimated that a child with ADHD receives 20,000 more negative comments than their peers by the age of 12. That is, it's just, imagine the child in a school environment, Imagine us being frustrated at home in these circumstances. And we never catch our children doing something good because we're not in a good space. So it's so important to take care of ourselves first. So, so important, because those children grow up with just negativity. There's a few rewards and consequences guidelines. Look at privileges. Change rewards frequently. Okay, be specific. Praise. Rather than food and toys, always try and praise, give them activities, extra activities to do, or coupons. You can watch, 10 minutes more this, or you can go to bed 10 minutes later, or whatever the child enjoys. Change your rewards frequently and make it contextually appropriate and meaningful to the child. A star chart or points awarded for positive behavior is also a lovely visual reminder for the child of success. All right, please, it's very difficult because we all kind of come from our own little stories. But for a child to hear they're doing something well, they want to please us. I promise you, every child wants to please their parent. And sometimes any attention is attention, be it good or bad. And we need to start trying to get them to look at something that works for them, that makes them feel that they've got a good, that they're achieving something, they're good enough. It's very important also to think that a child has 20 seconds, and research shows us 20 seconds from the time something happens, the child will be susceptible to either praise or consequences. So it's important that we immediately reward work rather than, or positive behavior, or consequences for that matter, rather than delayed reactions. It's that age-old saying where when your father comes home tonight, he's going to give you a hiding. It doesn't work. It's got to be immediate and follow through. Follow through with the reward, follow through with the consequences.
Deirdre?
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to give you a 5-minute heads up. We've got 5 minutes left for the talk. I don't want to rush you, but I just wanted to let you know before the Zoom ends.
All right.
Thank you.
So consequences, thank you very much, Tawny. The consequences, I use a thermometer, and that can be a general reminder. And as the temperature rises, the child gets closer to the thermometer. You don't want to give them too much room, but spell out the consequences up front. Let it occur immediately. Try timeouts or removal of privileges. Remove your child from the situation. Engage in critical thinking and ask the child, what do you think could have been done differently? Or my children hate the saying. I always say to them, so how did this work out for you? They hate that. I always say to them, how did this work out for you? And they know exactly what I'm on about when I say, oh, what do you think this is going to, what do you think the outcome of this is going to be? They understand that. Try and talk to your child like that. Help your child to eat right. It's easier said than done, and especially with children that has barriers to learn, any barrier. They don't mix my food. I don't want this. I know that. I've been there and I understand that and I live that every day. But try and get them to eat right. Peanut butter and, with all due respect, peanut butter and apples also work for me. The other thing is, children with ADHD often have difficulty with social interactions. They may struggle to read social cues, talk too much. We spoke about the interrupting frequently, and they come across as aggressive or too intense. They also tend to be relatively emotionally immature, and we looked at it last time we had the talk, about 2 years below the actual chronological age. And remember that, however, that many kids with ADHD are actually exceptionally intelligent and creative, so they will find ways, but try and teach the model. Try and be a mirror for your children. So when you see something, say, I can see that you're very angry right now. Am I right? So pretend you're a mirror for your child and try and give them the words that they can use. Remember, Brené Brown says that we cannot give our children what we do not have. If we want our children to have courage, compassion, and connection, we must practice these things in our daily life. If we want them to love and accept who they are, our job is to love and accept who we are. Teach them how to become better listeners. Role play, very, very important. It's a critical component of empowering children to change. Teach them to read faces. Okay, so so when you say to their child, I can see you angry, you're teaching him to read your face. So we can say, what does my face look like right now? Help them to verbalize what they need or want and to read body language and give them that word, emotional vocabulary. The minute you start telling them about this is what anger looks like, they can put a label to it. If we don't do that, they don't understand. Speak gently and honestly about their challenges. Match their temperament with their friends, okay? So to enhance positive relationship. Make sure that you don't invite 5 friends over. It's a disaster. Try and get 1 or 2 over only. And praise positive behavior on a regular and consistent basis. All right. I've rushed that last bit. That's it. Thank you very much, everyone. Tawny?
Thank you so much, Deirdre. Thank you for all that information. I think it's very helpful and it's nice to have it in a step-by-step and all broken down like that. I'm sorry we had to rush you at the end there. If anybody, I see we've run out of time for questions, but if you do have something specific, you're welcome to email me. The email address is in the chat on the side there. And then our next talk will be next week, Thursday, the 21st, and that will be hosted by Zandria Lowe, who's a counseling psychologist, and she'll be talking about positive parenting, discipline, and parental guilt. So if you'd like to just follow our social media, we'll be announcing all the details there and a link to sign up for that. Yeah, and thank you everyone for attending, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And thanks again, Deirdre.
Welcome.